Hello and welcome along. This is another watercolour. This is a watercourse. You can see there's quite a bit of reflection in this one as well. Some trees there in the four bigger trees on the left hand side, and that watercourse and a little bit of grass in the foreground on the left hand side as well. So I have actually put some Payne's grey mixed with some blue, and I put that on wet paper. So I'm just tilting the paper now and just letting it run a bit. Ultramarine blue, actually, it is, mixed with Payne's grey, a little bit of Payne's grey. Just excuse the angle that it's on. I'm just lifting it so that the paint will just run a bit. I don't want it to run too much, but just a little bit. You'll see when I just bring the board back down again. And here we go, just bringing the board down now. And I'm just going to run a brush, so I'm just washing out the brush and I'm going to dry it with a paper towel. And I'm just going to run it through just a little bit because I don't want it to be a solid, even though it's diffused and it's opaque. I don't want it to be continuous. I want it broken up a little bit. So I'm going to run a brush through there just to break it up, to give the impression of some cloud in there as well. So I'll be doing that. As you can see, that's done now. All right, you can see there's it's not as continuous, those clouds. I'm using what's called a grass, GRASS, green here. And I'm using an olive green, as you can see, just to give a rough impression of some sort of a mountain there in the background. Or some very high hill, but probably some sort of a closer mountain there. And I'll continue it over here as well. There's going to be a tree in between there and a couple of trees on the other side, as you saw in that on our completed painting at the beginning of the video. This is a bit of dark leaf, Australian dark leaf green by Art Spectrum, just going in now. Let's darken that up in places. If you haven't already done so, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. And if you want to receive any updates, click the bell icon. This is a relatively new channel, so we're trying to grow this. So I want to keep it going as we do watercolors together. You can pause this video anytime you want and just copy the steps if you feel you want to do it that way. Or you can take a screenshot of the completed painting and go off that if you wish to. So some more of that grassy green there, and I'm going to be mixing a little bit of that Australian dark leaf green in through there as well. There we go. It's looking very green, isn't it, at this stage? But don't worry, we'll be putting some burnt umber in fairly soon. That'll start to balance the colours a little bit. So that's okay. So we want something around the edge of that riverbank on both sides. Right now I'm just softening what I just put in there. I don't want hard edges, just to soften the edges there a little bit with a damp brush. Just working on some of this here as well. So we're going to get some burnt umber as well, and we'll start doing the, I can see I've just done more of that green, Australian dark leaf green up through the right hand bank. But this is some raw umber now going on. And we'll be blending some of this into that grassy area as well. Riverbank that I'm painting on right there is a little bit damp, and that colour is just diffusing in nicely. Just bringing the raw umber up to just to mix in and diffuse in with those green colours. Just in places there. That's exactly what I want. Some sort of a shallow area in the distance there. All right, so we're going to be painting these trees here. The brush is damp using Australian dark leaf green, and as the brush gets drier, I'll just push the brush up there and into the paper to get that effect. Put some darker Australian dark leaf green in there in places. Careful to leave a couple of little gaps in the tree, those little pinholes of light coming through the tree. And another one over here, wouldn't go astray. We've already penciled it in anyway. There's a penciled in a fairly big tree on the right hand side. So So that's some Australian dark leaf green going in there as well. And we'll do a little bit of lighter green in the top left-hand corner as well, just to sort of break it up a little bit. So in the top left-hand corner, we'll put a mixture of that grass green and some lemon yellow mixed in together. A bit of a mix there. We'll just put that in here. Let some of that Australian dark leaf green blend into that. So grass green with some lemon yellow, letting the Australian dark leaf green just blend in a bit. And then we'll put some darker colour just under what we've done. Yep, keep going with that. Just in those areas just through there. This is just a very simple watercolour, this one. I think the next one we'll do is another reflection one, and we'll have a boat in that one. It'll look a lot different. It'll be more of a jungle type of area, and we'll have a boat and some of the jungle reflecting into the water. That'll be our next one. Now we're just going to get some tissue, and I want to dab part of that bush there on the right hand side of that bush we just did, because I just want it to be a little bit lighter in colour, just to add a bit of variation there. So I think I will do that. I think that's about right there. So I'll grab this tissue, because I want to lighten it up a bit on the left-hand side of that bush that we just did. And there we go. That's what I did with the tissue. I simply just dabbed it on. Okay, so just bringing some colour down now. Some more of that dark leaf green down the riverbank there, and I will blend that in a bit more, so it looks like it's actually blending more into that riverbank. There we go. We're going to keep working a little bit more to strengthen some of these areas through here with some more burnt umber. It's a lovely colour. Very rich colour, the burnt umber. Yeah, so please subscribe and click that bell icon, and we'll have fun painting together, learning together, creating together. You can see that's given the illusion of the riverbank, some of those grasses just spilling over the riverbank there. What we'll need to concentrate on now is the water as well, once we've just fixed up bits and pieces in here. So it's looking okay. So what I want, we've got a tree here in the background which we're going to use some Payne's grey on. Just a very loose watercolour tree here. And this will have to be obviously reflecting into the water like those other two trees on the right hand side. That's just some more Payne's grey going in there on top of that, just to strengthen it up a bit. That'll fade right back. We're putting in, you can actually, while it's still wet, just get your store card or credit card and just scrape a few lines through. But I let these dry and I didn't get a chance to do that, unfortunately. So I'm putting in some white gouache just to give the impression of just a few branches through that tree. I might have overdone that one, so I can bring it back with a bit more Australian dark leaf green. That's a bit better. Yep. There we go. I think that looks a little bit better. Just a hint of some branches through that tree. Don't want to overdo it. Same over this side here. Just a few little bits and pieces of some branches. I think that's something that we're going to have to bring back a bit there. We've just gone overboard there. It's easy to do, but that's all right. We'll just bring it back a bit with some more Australian dark leaf green in places, not everywhere, but just in places. All right, so I am wetting the paper with some clean water, just in areas. And I'm putting on a lovely blue colour, just a very light mix though. This is cerulean blue, very light mix of cerulean blue. I'm just getting some on a brush now, a 1-inch brush, and I'll just run it across and I'm going to have to use another brush to soften the edges a bit because I don't want any hard edges on this. Right, I think I'll get another brush now, just to soften this up a bit in areas. I want to leave a fair bit of white paper in this river area. I think that'll just about do it. Take some of that away with a wet brush. Same again there with the brush washed out and just dried off a bit with a paper towel. So the brush is nice and damp. Just bringing it through some areas there, taking away some of that colour. Now I'm going to wet that, that's drying fairly quickly, so I'm just going to wet under where I want the tree reflection to be with just some clean water and a brush. Put a little bit more cerulean blue just in the front there, nothing much. Just in the foreground there. So like I said, I need to just get some clean water and wet under those trees eventually. I'm just darkening up some bits and pieces of this mountain in the background. But I don't want to go overboard in darkness. This is just putting some more olive green over here, just in some areas. And we'll put some little trees, just a hint of some trees in the background there when we get to that. Now this is what I'm talking about, just wetting under the trees where I think I want that reflection. Now I could have and I should have really let that, where I just painted under those trees with clean water, I should have let that just dry off a little bit more than what it is, because it was a bit too wet when I applied the colour, but we got away with it. So that's a bit too wet. I should have let that dry a bit more, just a bit more before applying the colour for the reflection. As you can see, it really spreads quite quickly, but we managed to keep it under control and it works out okay. So that's just a little bit of green going in here, grass green, just to match up the top a little bit. Although I think most of that will be lost anyway. See what I mean? So a bit too much water there. I should have let that dry a bit more, but we'll get away with it. Now I'm drying off the brush, wetting the brush and drying it off because I want to have a bit of a gap in between these two trees. Just a gap in that reflection there. Putting in some, just an impression of some of that green in through there to match, just a hint of green in there to match the grass a little bit. Darkening that up there for the trees. Just playing around with that reflection a little bit. Just putting some more raw umber just to match the riverbank, the earth there on the riverbank, just a reflection of that. We'll bring some reflection down here, not much. Now I'm just bringing that back a bit because I learned from the right hand side I had too much water on. So I'm just bringing some of this darker, reflection down from the riverbank, and we'll add a little bit of green at the base of that too. closing up some of the gap there, the little white line between the riverbank and the reflection, just in part. So I want to get a 1/4 inch flat brush, and I want to just drag it through just to create the illusion of just a little bit of ripple in the water where that reflection is, like so. Careful not to overdo it. Looks like we might have to go over one area. We went a bit too far on one of them, but you'll see what we do in a minute. So the blue that we put into the river is very subtle. You can barely see it, but it is there, and it sort of reflects the sky. We didn't want it to be a very vibrant blue because the sky is not that way. Can't wait to start on that other one I was telling you about with the boat and the jungle. We've done the drawing for it, so it'll be a boat sort of in a jungle area and a lot of reflection in the water, including the boat's reflection and all the trees around it. So we'll do another reflection one next, I think. We'll try that and see how we go. If you make a mistake, don't worry. We only learn by our mistakes, and that's a good thing, really. So have fun and don't be too concerned. Don't be so precise as well. Be as free as you can. That's that bit of green I was telling you I was going to put in there. Australian dark leaf green, just a bit. And on the left-hand side, we want some grass as well. Some Australian dark leaf green going on there in places. So in this instance, by putting some grass in here and, some tangling grass, it gives something for the foreground as well and helps to balance the whole thing. Now what I've got to do also is, you see those white lines in the trees that we put in to give the impression of some branches and tree trunks. Some of that needs to be in the reflection as well, and we haven't done that yet, so we will do that, and you'll see it in the final presentation after we take the masking tape off. Just with a fine brush, I'm just dragging some very thin strokes through here, just all over the place randomly to give the impression of some grass. We'll even drag some white gouache through here, just lightly in an area. And we'll even put some yellow ochre through in some areas. So yellow ochre going in there now, just to give us a splash of a different colour. I think it's looking okay. Just working on those grasses there. Just gives us something in the foreground. So that's looking okay. We might just, that middle tree that you can see there and the reflection under the middle tree, we might need to soften that right on the bottom of that reflection there. And you'll see that in the final presentation after the masking tape has gone. Just signing my name there now. Let's take off the masking tape. That'll leave us a nice clean border. Just make that a little softer, the whole thing there. Just running a damp brush through there. Tiny bit of gouache, not much at all. I just want that to be softened a bit. Just that bit there. That will do. Let's soften that line up there totally. And what we need to do is take away that top piece of masking tape. That'll give us our complete white little border going all the way around. And there you can see it, and there is a couple of subtle changes in the final presentation. That reflection where the middle tree is down the bottom is softened off. As you can see, it's all softened off a bit more there. We've put those white lines in from the tree in the reflection, as you can see. And that's about it. Please subscribe, click that bell icon, and really value you looking at this art and perhaps trying it alongside me at the same time. Next time we'll do that boat in some sort of a jungle with a reflection as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.